So I'm standing here at the beach, and honestly, this is the exact problem that I want to talk to you about today. Because if you own a condo somewhere like this, whether it's in Myrtle Beach, 38, San Diego, or the Jersey Shore, or wherever, this is what you think about when you're here. The water, right? You think about the sun, maybe some fishing, a long walk with your family, a cold drink by the pool. That's it. That is the whole agenda. You're not sitting there thinking about the HOA or the condo association. You're not wondering about the reserve fund balance. And you're certainly not asking anybody about the roof inspection report. And honestly, that makes total sense. That is the point, right? That's why you have a beach condo. But here's the thing, the financial health of the building you're lounging in right now, or the one you own a unit in, is either being managed well or it isn't. And that reality doesn't care that you're on vacation. My name is Braun, and I'm the founder and CEO of Solume, an all-in-one community management platform built specifically for HOA and condo associations. And today I want to walk you through something that affects every condo owner, every board member, and every property manager in a shared community, the reserve study. By the time this video is over, you'll know exactly what a reserve study is, why it matters to your property value, how the process works, and what best-in-class communities are doing to stay ahead of it. Let's get into it. Let's start with the basics, because the term gets thrown around a lot and most people nod along without really knowing what it means. A reserve study is a professional financial analysis of your condo association's shared assets, the stuff every unit owner co-owns together. Think about everything in a condo community that isn't inside your individual unit. The roof, the elevators, the pool deck, parking structure, even the hallway carpeting, the exterior paint, the HVAC system that serves common areas, even the coastal seawall. Every single one of those things has a cost, and every single one of them will eventually need to be repaired or replaced. A reserve study does two things. First, it assesses the current condition of every major component. A qualified reserve analysis walks the property, evaluates what you have, determines the useful life of each component, and estimates how much of that useful life is remaining. Let me explain those two terms quickly because they are important. Useful life is how long a component is expected to last under normal conditions. A commercial roof might have a useful life of, say, 25 years. An elevator modernization might be 20 years. Pool equipment might be 5, 10, 15 years. And the remaining useful life is how much of that lifespan is left today. If your roof is 18 years into a 25-year cycle, it has roughly 7 years remaining under normal conditions. That's a very different financial situation than a roof that was just replaced last year. So again, the first thing a reserve study does is identify the current condition. And second, the reserve study produces a funding plan. Based on the component inventory, the replacement timelines, and the projected costs, it calculates how much money your association should be setting aside every single year so that when those replacements come due, the money is already there. That's the reserve study. It's a financial roadmap. Now, let's talk about why this matters to you personally, whether you're a board member, a property manager, or an owner who just comes here to unplug a few times a year. If you're a vacation property owner, especially one who primarily uses the unit for family trips and isn't closely watching how the building is managed, I get it. That's most owners. You show up, you enjoy it, and you leave. The condo association is background noise. But here's what that background noise is doing while you're not paying attention. If the reserve fund is underfunded and a major asset fails, you're getting a special assessment bill, a one-time charge, due in 60 or 120 days. On a mid-sized building facing a $600,000 roof replacement with maybe $90,000 in reserves, that's potentially $12,000 or $15,000 per unit mailed to your house whether you're watching it or not. If you own the property as an investment and you're renting it out, and I talk to a lot of owners in this category, you might be watching the unit closely. Rental income, occupancy rates, turnover. But here's the question I'd ask you. Are you watching the community as closely as you're watching your unit? Because your unit doesn't exist in isolation. A deteriorating pool deck, a lobby that hasn't been updated since 2003, an elevator that breaks down twice a year, those things affect your nightly rate, your reviews, and your resale value just as much as the finishes inside the unit. The community is the investment, not just the unit. And here's the other side of the risk. Your reserve fund health is visible to buyers and their lenders. Certain loan types, FHA, VA, and many conventional loans, require that associations maintain a minimum percentage of annual assessments in reserves. Communities that can't demonstrate adequate funding get flagged. That means a smaller pool of qualified buyers for your unit when it's time to sell. Your condo is likely one of the largest financial assets you own. It deserves to be treated like one. Let me walk you through what actually happens during a reserve study so you know exactly what you're getting and what to look for when evaluating whether your community has done this properly. Step one is the site inspection. A qualified reserve analyst, ideally a credentialed professional through an organization like the Association of Professional Reserve Analysts, physically walks the entire property. They're cataloging every shared component the association is responsible for. On a mid-sized coastal building, that list might include the roof system, all elevator cabs and mechanical systems, pool and spa equipment, the pool deck and hardscape, parking lot pavement or stripping, exterior building envelope, everything that's on the outside, even the common area HVAC systems, lighting, irrigation, signage, seawalls, or bulkheads if applicable. Anywhere from 30 to 80 line items, even more depending on the complexity of the community. For each component, they document the current condition, estimated remaining useful life, and projected replacement cost adjusted for inflation. Step two is the financial analysis. Once the physical inventory is complete, the analysis runs the numbers. They look at your current reserve fund balance and compare it to where it needs to be given the replacement schedule of every component on that list. This produces your percent funded status, the ratio of what you have versus what you should have. Think of that as the financial health score for your community. So 100% funded is excellent. You're prepared. 70% is healthy. Some room to improve, but it's manageable. Below 50%, real funding gaps. Special assessment risks are revealed. Below 30%, you are one major failure away from a financial crisis for every owner in the building. And step three is the funding plan. The final deliverable is a recommended annual reserve contribution, the amount the association should be collecting each year to stay on track. This is the number that drives responsible dues setting. It's what prevents special assessments. Every board member should know this number by heart. Industry standards recommend updating your reserve study every, say, 3 to 5 years, depending on, again, the complexity and wear and tear around it, or any time the community undergoes significant changes. New assets added, major repairs completed ahead of schedule, and significant cost shifts. So let's talk about what the best run communities actually do, because there's a significant difference between communities that treat a reserve study as a one-time compliance checkbox and those that build it into how they operate year-round. First, work with a credentialed professional. If your community hasn't had a reserve study done or you're not sure where to start, hire a qualified reserve analyst. Credentials from the Association of Professional Reserve Analysts or Community Associations Institute signal that the person knows what they're doing. This isn't a job for just a general contractor or a gut feel from a well-intended board member. If you don't already have a reserve analyst in your area or you're not sure how to find one, Solume works closely with reserve study specialists throughout the country and can connect you with the right professional for your community. Second, integrate your reserve study into your annual budget process. The reserve contribution shouldn't be a line item that gets negotiated down to keep dues artificially low. That's how funding gaps develop over years, not overnight. The recommended contribution from your reserve study is the floor, not the ceiling. Third, make the data visible. One of the most consistent problems I see in community management is that reserve study data sits in a PDF that nobody looks at until something breaks. Board members change, property managers change. The institutional knowledge walks out the door and the next group is flying blind. Whether you're fully managed by a property management company, self-managed, or working with an HOA consultant or advisor, the reserve study data needs to be accessible, current, and actionable, not buried in a filing cabinet. It needs to be dynamic, something that you can look at and interact with whenever you have questions about what's coming up. Fourth, know your legal obligations. Some states legally require reserve studies. Many governing documents require them even where state law doesn't. And beyond the legal requirements, lender standards for FHA and conventional financing have created a de facto market mandate for adequate reserve funding, whether the law requires it or not. If you're unsure about your specific obligations, consult a community association attorney who knows your state statutes. The communities that do this well aren't extraordinary. They're just disciplined. They run the numbers, they follow the plan, and their owners never get a surprise assessment letter. I want to take a minute to talk about the problem I built Solume to solve. Traditional reserve studies are static. You get a PDF, maybe at best an Excel spreadsheet. It's accurate on the day it's delivered. Then life happens. A repair gets done 6 months early, costs shift, a new component gets added, maybe a storm blows in and causes damage that you didn't account for. The board changes, and that PDF just sits there getting more outdated by the month while the board is making financial decisions based on information that no longer reflects reality. Think about this. They're building a financial future based on outdated past information. You need something that is current and evolves with the community. Solume is an all-in-one community management platform powered by AI that takes your reserve study and makes it live. Real-time financial projections, dynamic updates as your community changes, a dashboard that shows your board and your concerned owners exactly where the reserve fund stands, what's coming, when it's coming, and whether you're funded to handle it. It connects your reserve study data with your operating budget, your vendor costs, your due collections, and your maintenance tracking. Everything is all in one place so nothing falls through the cracks and nobody is guessing. For boards, it's the tool that lets you lead with confidence. For owners, it's the transparency that tells you your investment is being protected. For property managers, it's the platform that replaces 5 different spreadsheets and a filing cabinet full of PDFs and a software that feels like it was built in 1990. Look, I started this video talking about the beach and I want to end it the same way. I'm absolutely not trying to ruin your vacation. Go and enjoy the water. Put your phone down after this video and take a long walk with your family. You've earned it. But at some point, maybe on the drive home, maybe next week, have a conversation about your community's reserve study. Ask them when the last one was done. Ask what the percent funded status is. Ask if your board is following a current funding plan. If you like what you hear, great. If the answers make you nervous, or if nobody can answer the questions at all, or worse, they don't even call you back to discuss it, that's your sign. The link to book a demo with Solume is in the description. We'll walk you through exactly how the platform works, connect you with a reserve study professional if that's what you need, and show you what it looks like when a community runs on real data instead of hope. Thanks for watching.